And we are live. And it's my delight to be once again with all of you in our new episode of Conversations with Influencers. Alejandro Tornato here, coming directly from Beaufort, Georgia. And if you have been following me and having paying attention to the post that I did, you know that today I am so thrilled and so happy, excited, and full of expectations because my guest is someone that I have known since February of March of 2016. And I'm going to tell you why that is. And from that moment, yes, I've known this man and followed. I mean, his journey, and he's truly an influencer. And I cannot wait to bring him with me. So I'm going to do that right now. And here he is, Christian Del Rosario. So how are you doing, my friend? You're coming from Los Angeles, California.
La la la, this is where I'm coming from.
Eh?
How are you, Alejandro? Thanks for having me here.
Excellent, excellent. So, I mean, so good. I mean, to be with you, and to have this conversation because, as I said, I truly believe that you are an influencer. And when I said that the very first time that I got to know you was around February, March of 2016, is because at that time, I made my way to Orlando, Florida, to certified as a speaker, coach, and trainer through the John Maxwell team. And since then, I mean, that has become the twice a year IMC event, which is the International Maxwell Certification. And guess what? That's an event that brings in thousands of people. I mean, it takes place at the Orlando Marriott Hotel, the biggest Marriott in the world. So you can imagine, I mean, the magnitude of this event. But there was one thing that really struck me, and not just the amount of people, the all the energy that was in the room and in the different places where the conference was, but this. They were called, and I think that there still are, but at that time they were called the ninjas. The ninjas.
The photo ninjas, yes.
That's exactly right. And they were all dressed in black with cameras hanging from everywhere. I mean, from their necks, their arms. I mean, it was, and they were really the photographers for the event. And of course, Christian with a team of professional photographers, they were there and they were not missing a bit. I mean, you could be in a corner, and if that was a shot worth taking, there you were. I mean, and so they took thousands upon thousands of pictures, and since then, I mean, they went to all kinds of events that were sponsored by the John Maxwell team, or even, I mean, events that Paul Martinelli, I mean, did, I mean, such as Turning Point and a few others. I mean, and you traveled international with the team.
We were in Costa Rica together.
We went to Costa Rica together.
Yeah.
And so that is how I got to know Christian. And since then, I mean, he one of the things that, if you know him, you can see the passion that he has for what he does, and that is photography. Now, let me ask you a question. When did this passion for photography start in your life? I mean, because I mean, you were not born. Were you born with the camera on your neck, my friend?
I'd like to claim that, but I can't. I learned it. I was born as an artist, I think, because ever since I was a child, I remember um, wanting to always sketch and draw. I would just sketch just about anything. I'd see a picture and I would copy it, just using a pencil. And then growing up, I've always known I wanted to end up in the world of arts.
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, out of high school, um, you know, I had some really practical advisors, my counselors, my teachers. I wanted to take fine arts at that time out of high school, but I was discouraged to do it because I lived in the Philippines at that time,
Okay.
and they were like, there's no money, there's no money in fine arts. Why would you do that? Be practical,
Uh-huh.
So everyone encouraged me to take other things like more like computer science and all that stuff. But I ended up taking engineering because I thought, okay, maybe it's kind of close to being an artist, but it wasn't. So in one of the things that actually I'm part of this future proof program with Paul with the Empowered Living Community, and then
Yeah.
one of the things that one of the key points that we were talking about, we were trying to identify as being part of that program, is our never again moments. And one thing I've learned from that experience, this is a pretty big never again, because to go back to your answer, in 2000, I think I think it was like around 2005 when I first discovered digital photography. And even at this time, I left my engineering studies and I just went on management and just doing other things, because I need to make money. I need to pay the rent. Um, and I was pretty okay. I was doing okay, but I'm not doing great. And I'm happy, but I'm not contented, right? But in 2005, that's when I discovered digital photography. This is when the digital camera starts to come out, and
That's right.
and when I saw the first one, like, oh my God, you take a picture and you see it right away. There's no film. This is quite magical. I was like, wow, you know I like, so that just kind of bit me, and so I bought my first digital camera. I think the year after, I saved some money to do that, and then by so it was a hobby from 2005, and then through 2000, it was in 2008 when I decided to go all in and try becoming a professional photographer. So yeah, so from 2005 to 2008, it was just a hobby on the side. It's photography is what I used to as a stress relief on the weekends for my job. So I'll take photos of my dogs as a hobby, of snails, flowers, just about anything, learning. And it was feeling that part in me, the artist in me. It was feeling that gap, and I really loved it, and I really enjoy. I felt something different compared to what I'm doing when I'm working at the office. Mhm.
So you could feel that as you were engaged in that, let's call it perhaps hobby to begin with,
Yeah.
but as you were engaged in that, and the more that you were doing it, you could see that there was an inner desire to do more and more and more, and to
Mhm.
keep exploring and to keep doing. And isn't that isn't that great, Christian, that when when a person really begins to do something that really resonates with you, is
Mhm.
like um you want to give it even more birth. I mean, is waiting to be birthed out of you. And that's what you did. I mean, you kept pursuing it.
Yeah, we can try to put it into words as the best that we can, but sometimes it is really hard. You just need
Yeah,
to feel it, and when you feel it, you know what it is.
that's right.
It's effortless. Not just that, but if you there are times I wanted to learn something about it, and nothing can stop me from from learning it. And everything seems to be, I'm like a sponge wanting to learn more and more and more, and each time it feels better. You know, it's like it's the opposite of drugs, right? When you're
Well,
ta- when you're taking drugs, the more you take drugs, the more you're immune to it. You have to take more and more. But this one, actually, it gets feels better and better and better. Even up to now, I've
that,
been
that,
doing it. I've been doing it 20 years. I'm not 20 years, 12 years,
yeah.
and I still surprise myself every time when I take photos, and I'm like, wow, look at that, and there's more to learn, and every time there's something new to learn, and I don't get bored at it. I just enjoy it so much.
I tell you, it's great. It's great to see you. I mean, um, how you have developed. I mean, from those early beginnings. Now, let me ask. Um, in order for you to get better at it, did you start when you started, and when you wanted to do more of it, did you self taught yourself things, or did you go, I mean, and took the photographer, I mean, the classes or courses, or things, or it was like a self learning experience that you went through it?
In my situation, it was all self-taught, and I taught myself everything I need to know. A couple of reasons is because at that time I was, I when I decided this is going to be my job, right? It's not, it's my career. I did a complete turnaround from what I used to do completely to photography.
Sure.
So I didn't really have much time. So there was like this pressure to make it, because if I don't make it, I gave myself 2 years. If I don't make it, I'm just gonna have to go back to what I used to do, which I didn't really want to do. So that's one of the motivations.
Yeah.
Second is, I also know that at that time I kind of felt that the field of photography is going to change very quickly. It's like the growth, the change is very exponential.
Mm.
If I went to school for 2 years, by the 2 or 4 years, by the time I'm done, there's something new again, and I have to relearn. I knew I'm going to play catch up. So
Mm.
those two things. So I just and so I just wanted to know what I need to learn at that time, and I learned it one step at a time, one step at a time. I
That's
need
right.
to, I'll get a new client. They sometimes would ask me in the beginning, do you know how to do this? Well, can we hire you? Do you know how to do this? Even though I have not done it, I say, yeah, of course I can do it. Build your wings on the way down, right?
That's exactly right.
And each time, 100% of the time. Sometimes some of the cases were like overnight studying. I'm on YouTube, I'm on the web learning to do certain things, and every time I've succeeded, because I think, because there's like this persistence, right? Like there's like this need to succeed.
Yeah,
So
and also, listen. I mean, if we go to what one of the greatest authors, I mean, Napoleon Hill said, when you have that inner burning desire to do something, then you will achieve it, because that is, you're going to find, all the resources are within you anyhow. So it's just
mhm,
a matter of finding what you need to do in order to accomplish a task that you have never done before. But that desire drives you to obtain whatever it needs in order to get it done. So
yeah.
so
and,
when
and 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 there's no such thing as failure when you're doing what you love. It's all just experience.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's a time and time again. I heard it from so many people that is just ingrained. Yes, failure is not failure. Is not that you have done something that, I mean, failure is another opportunity to succeed. I mean, that's I mean, it's another step in your success ladder, in your success journey, and
Yep.
failure has to be there. So, uh, what in your experience through these years, I mean, that you have been behind the lens, um, what is it more challenging for you? I mean, to take a picture of people or places or scenery. I mean, what brings you more, I guess, satisfaction?
Um, uh, there are two parts. What's more challenging and what gives me more satisfaction.
Okay.
The challenging part at this point of my journey as a photographer is to find things that will still kind of keep that thing burning. You know,
Okay.
I've pretty much done all types of photography: portraiture, landscape, events, architecture, real estate. I've done pretty much everything. So the key is now trying to find that I have a very different focus in life. I'm much more intentional in what I want to photograph, even especially for my personal projects. In fact, even for professional projects that I take on, I want to make
Mm,
sure that that it's in line with what I want to do. You know, in the beginning, I'll just take whatever, right? Because I need to make money. So
that's right.
I'm much more intentional, and I want to make sure that the projects that I take on are the ones that also make me happy. Is it in line with my purpose? So that's the challenge right now. But you know, which fortunately, to be honest, is not really a challenge because I've been blessed with having enough people who support me, you
Sure.
know, who believe in my work.
That's
So
right.
I've gotten in a position where I'm able to choose which projects to take on.
That's right.
And then also, to be honest, most projects that come in my way are also projects that I love because I've surrounded myself with a tribe that believes in me. That though, you know, a tribe and clients and friends who know me as a person, so they know what I'm good at, and usually I'm really good at the things that I love to do, right?
That's right.
So those so even though I call it a challenge, it's really not quite a challenge. It's actually you know, it just comes my way. But yes, so that's one more. That's one. But that's what differentiates it from before and now.
That's right.
And I'm much more purposeful and intentional with the projects I take on. And my favorite thing to photograph, really, I mean, what really makes me happy is when I'm photographing. I love everything, right? But it's really when I'm photographing animals. I go to Africa every year, and I go on safaris, and nothing makes me happier than, you know,
And as a
being with animals. Yeah.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I mean, one of the things that I want to let people know is that yes, every year, I mean, you take a group of people, not a huge group of people, because
About
I mean,
15 people per group. Yeah.
that's right, and you take them to Africa, and that in itself is a great experience. But as complementing that experience is you are in a sense teaching people how to photograph animals and different techniques and different things. So it's not just exploring and being in a safari surrounded, I mean, which by itself, I mean, it's a fascinating experience. But on top of that, then people get first-hand knowledge from someone, I mean, who is a master at it, to really, if they want to do it themselves, I mean, what are things that you teach them in order for them, I mean, to obviously, I mean, implement those techniques afterwards. And so, how long have you been doing that?
Well, I've been going to Africa since 2013, but it's only like, so last year I went with a group, and then this year I was going to take three groups. You know, we had three trips scheduled in August and September, and they all sold out. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we had to cancel it. But fortunately, that everyone who signed up, about 95% of people who signed up this year carried it over for next year. So we're still on track, but we're not going to let this pandemic stop us, right?
Oh no,
Every
sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna resume it next year, and I'm probably gonna end up. I'm planning on adding two more trips, so 30 more people, two different groups, going to Africa. But the great thing about this trip is, you don't really have to be a photographer. If you're a photographer, it's great because I teach how to do it. I teach
Mhm.
how to take great photos. But if you're not, honestly, just enjoy, Africa in its raw form. We take, if you're not a photographer, you chill, you enjoy. We take your photos. While you're in Africa, you'll come home with half of the people who go are not photographers. They just, we take your photo, you come home with one wonderful experience and wonderful photos that you can enjoy for the rest of your life. I think everyone in their life should go to Africa and do safari at least once in their lifetime. And if you can do it twice, good. If you can do it every year, it's great. It's just, for me,
I'm,
it's nothing's better.
I'm sure it's a magical experience. I mean, to
Mhm.
be, I love to be immersed in nature, and there's something special. I mean, when you are, whether you are by the sea, or whether you are hiking on a trail, or hiking up a mountain, or
Yeah.
being in the middle of the wild, and just experience that raw energy that is inherent in those places. I mean, you don't have to do anything to
Mhm.
absorb it. It's already there, and you are just part of that energy. I mean, it's something, I've never done it up until now, but there's always that door of opportunity that could open, because I love to travel, and I had the opportunity and the privilege. I mean, years ago, to spend almost 15 years in the UK. I mean, studying and being busy. I mean, learning the language and so forth. But then during those years, when you are in the UK, back in those days, they did not yet have the train that would connect England to,
London.
I mean, to France, under
Oh, yeah, yeah. The
the English
Eurostar,
Channel.
yeah, English Channel, yeah.
That's right. They were in the process of building it at that time, but it wasn't ready. So, but what we did is, with a friend of mine, we took the ferry across the channel, and we traveled pretty much all over Europe. And it was, I mean, it's a great experience. I mean, especially for someone who wants to connect with people, then, and be involved with other cultures. But I have never been. I tell you, I've been in Africa, but when we were in Spain, we went on a
Morocco.
ferry across, and we went to Morocco,
Morocco.
and we went to Tangiers, Morocco, Casablanca, all that part. But
Beautiful.
we never did a safari. So that my friend, that is still a missing link that
Ah,
one day I want to close the chain.
then we have to put an end to that and take you there.
But
While you're in this topic, I just want to say that I
sure.
have. I always say this in my classes and everywhere. I have three passions in life. My love for animals. It's a triangle, right? Three corners. My love for animals, my love of traveling, and photography. So in now I'm in a point in my life where I like to make sure that all these three things are filled in, are being satisfied.
That's right.
So my trips is, I love to travel. I think traveling is the antithesis to ignorance. The more you travel, the more you realize that different people, different races, color, culture, we have more in common
Yeah.
than differences. So that's what I learned from traveling. And then my love for animals. I try to tie in whatever I'm doing with helping animals. Like in Africa, all the trips, we give parts of the proceeds of the profit goes to helping the elephant orphanage in
Oh,
Kenya, where they rescue baby elephants who were orphaned by poaching. So poaching, as you know, you probably heard, is a big problem in Africa. So
yes.
I try to tie that up with that, and then then I get to travel and I get to experience traveling with my friends, with everybody else. So
Christian, I am a firm believer because I've experienced it myself. It's not that I'm talking because I heard it, but
yeah.
because I experienced it. And I went to I went to university. I mean, in England.
Yeah.
But I am a firm believer that the very best university that anybody can join and enroll in is the University of Life and the University of Traveling.
Hmm.
That in itself is going to teach you more than a 4-year college degree in
Hmm.
anything. I mean, that you can imagine, whether you do engineering or law or
Yeah.
anything, it doesn't matter. But when you are traveling, it expands your mind, it expands your awareness, it expands your understanding of how other people live and how they interact, and that to me was the greatest gift that I could have been given. It was to really go to England, and that opened a lot of doors. I mean, and I could never be more thankful and grateful for having that opportunity. And I know that you think the same, because you are. You traveled and you see the advantages of traveling.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you know the more that I get to know you, I'm going to share a quote with you, Christian, because I
Hmm.
think that this fits very nicely here. It says, and that comes from Marcel Proust, and he says, the real voyage of discovery consists not in making new landscapes, but in having new eyes. I
Yeah.
mean, what a great quote that is. And when I read it, I said that fits, because let me ask you one question. When you are preparing for a photo shoot, or when you are in the midst of doing it, and when you are behind that camera lens, what is going through your mind as an artist? I mean, what is that you want to what is the objective? What do you want to capture? Because um, uh, photography is definitely an art form. It is an
Hmm.
art form, and I think that we can. When I see a photograph, not only I see what's on the photograph, but I can clearly see the emotional side, perhaps, of what the artist
Hmm.
wanted to show and display. So what is going on in your mind when you are taking photographs?
Well, that's exactly what it is. When I get into, as soon as I start taking photos, whether I'm in an event or I'm in some exotic place somewhere in the world, you just get in the zone. You just get in the zone. I wish I can tell you I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
You don't. You just know you're there and you
that's
just
right.
do it, right? But one thing for sure is every time it's always in the back of my head, what story am I telling? It really is always like that. I always think about, once I publish this, once I share this with the world. I mean, what good it is if you don't share it, right, with the
That's
world,
right.
for the people to see. But the whole point is, what story am I saying? I'm trying to convey here, and it's not always profound. Sometimes it's just as simple as you just want a fun photo, right? But regardless, there's a story behind it, whether it's small or big. Sometimes I'm really trying to say something. I sometimes I take a photo. I have an agenda. Sometimes I have a political agenda. Sometimes I just want to show a side of what I do. Of my life. Try to make people experience my traveling life. And so it's always like that. It's always like, what's the story, right?
That's right.
And sometimes it's just really for my own personal entertainment. But even then, I'm telling myself a
Sure,
story. So there's
sure.
always like this. Okay, and then most of the time I have an idea on how it's gonna look like when I put it back in my computer and I do post production on it. Many times I don't. But yeah, that's the main thing is um, there's always a story to tell. There's always a story to tell, and
Yeah.
sometimes the story I want to tell, a photo has a very different effect on different people because when the viewers, they come from different stages in life and they
Mm.
see things through a filter.
No.
So I've experienced where I would post a photograph, and people just have very different reactions to it. Sometimes it's what I expected, sometimes it's completely the opposite end of what I expected. But the point is, I'm able to make them think, and I'm able to make them feel something. And for
That's
me, that's very good. Whether it's my intention for them to feel that way or not, the fact that it made them feel something, made them think and question something,
that's right.
it makes me very, very contented as
Yeah.
an artist. Yeah.
And I heard it a few times, and I think is very true that um, sometimes, and you said it, is not in the complicated things that greatness happens, but is in the simplicity of things that you can
Mhm.
find greatness.
Yeah.
And that's I think that it works very well. I mean, it's not most people, I mean, they are just walking in the world trying to find huge, great, magnificent things. And in the world, you can find great, huge, magnificent things and beautiful things. But when you take a picture of perhaps just um, a petal of a rose, or a butterfly, or
Mhm.
something that is simple, I mean, how much beauty and greatness you can find out of those simple things, and how much emotion you can exude out of that. Um,
Yeah.
and that takes mastery. And I think that when I looked at pictures that you have posted and you have taken through travelings and so forth, some of them are not rocket science, I would say, but I could find so much greatness and beauty and a powerful message, even in that simplicity.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One of the things that this COVID thing brought in, and you know, prior prior to COVID hitting in March, I've been to almost 80 countries, right? And then I've never been home for more than a week, I think, in the last several years. And now I've been home for more than 3 months. And
Mhm.
what it brought me, I've been to so many places in the world, I've photographed so many things, but when this happened, I started to see things just really around me at the house. I would walk my dog, and I got into like photographing flowers, and I went back to the basics, really. And it's really, it forced me to like, okay, slow down. You're traveling too much. Now that you're home, look around you. There's wonder in all the small things around us. And I started posting all these photographs of just flowers, just using my phone. I didn't even bring my big cameras, and I got so much feedback out of that. People just loved it. I've never, yeah, actually, I got more positive like impact on those photos, the
Yeah.
simple things, than the photos I took in Rome or anywhere else. But because it's there, and now I started a photography workshop group. Since then, I thought, you know what, I'm home, I got nothing else to do, I can travel. So I got requests from people, can you teach us how to do this with the phone? So I started this group. I started it about 6 weeks ago now, I think. We have about, we're approaching 1,000 members, and
Okay.
I do classes almost weekly. We talk about, I teach, it's free, it's not, don't charge anybody. I just teach them how to use their phone and take flowers, and it feels really good to be able to help people and help them find something new to learn that they enjoy during this
Sure.
lockdown. So yeah,
Now, for people who want to perhaps know, um, and they have an idea that they said, hey, but yes, I mean, just to get to the level of Christian and so forth, then you need a lot of money for equipment, and you need, I mean, all top. Now, if you want to start, I mean, photography, is that something that you need a huge initial investment? I mean, to get into photography and to begin exploring the art form, and then, of course, I mean, the more that you want to do and the more that you want to dive into it, perhaps, I mean, you have to get into
yeah.
more sophisticated things. But when you started, I mean, was that a heavy investment, or how can you start on simple and humble means?
We live in a very different world than when I started 12 years ago.
Okay.
Actually, even when I started as a hobby, because I really needed a camera at the time. I
Mhm.
wish so I really had to save money for it, but not anymore, because now we all have telephone. We all have our phones. Whether you have an iPhone or a Samsung, whatever phone you
Yeah.
have, that camera on that phone is good enough for you to get started photography. Try it out and see if there's like this flame in there that needs you
Yeah.
know that needs to get bigger and bigger.
Sure.
So it's already in your pocket, it's already in your hand. So all you need is your phone to get started, to be honest. And that's the reason why the focus of my photography workshop group
That's
is
right.
iPhone photography, because
Okay.
it's all iPhone photography, because it's practical. You don't need to invest money in buying cameras. The
No.
story has changed. No. And then, once you're done with it, you get to a point where, okay, I'm really enjoying this, and I think this is something I want to pursue further, from becoming a beginner to maybe we can say a real hobbyist. Then maybe you can invest more on a bigger camera if you like. But I can tell
Sure.
you right now that mobile photography is the future of photography. Even for myself, uh, in the last 2 years, I would say,
Mm.
when I'm traveling and I'm not doing any particular assignment, a
Sure.
project for a client, when I'm by myself,
Yes.
when I'm walking around, I don't carry around my big cameras. This is all
Yeah.
I carry, my iPhone. And all the photos that I publish is all from my iPhone. It's when I'm not working, when I don't need those big cameras, this is all I use. And now,
That's right.
even for some events, I find myself, I used to never use this for professional photos. Now I can tell you, I've been using it sometimes, and it's only gonna take over more and more in the next years to come. This is the future. It's mobile photography.
My goodness, I
Yeah.
mean, and if you can see that coming,
Hmm.
I mean, after 12 years of doing this, you have a very good idea of what's approaching, what's coming in the future, what is the new thing, and this is, I think that phones. I mean, you have. I think that we are at a point that we have a full mobile office in our pockets. I
Hmm.
mean, and cameras and everything. So you really don't need anything. If you have a phone, and for this, I mean, if you have an iPhone, um, I guess you got everything that you would ever need.
It's amazing. The computing power on this little thing here is more powerful than the computing power of the Apollo that first thing that went to the moon.
That
It's amazing.
yes, yes,
And it's a computer.
I heard it so many times. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yep.
Now, listen, I read one of your posts on your page, and I just loved it, and I saw the actual picture, and I loved it, and I just want to ask you to perhaps expand a little bit on that. It says, God made different colors because they are more beautiful together. So he did the same for our
The
skin.
skin. Yes.
And what a beautiful thing, especially, I tell you, especially at this moment in time of
Yeah.
what we are going through and experiencing in the US, is, you see, um, some, and I don't know about you, Christian, but there are photographers that specialize more in black and white photography,
Hmm.
as opposed to color full color photography.
Hmm.
And I think that uh, if you take, if you're good at black and white photography, they are so fascinating shots. I mean, that you can do in black and white just with two
Hmm.
colors. But this quote, I mean, it's particularly interesting because it is in the diversity of those colors, and when those colors come together, that you can find meaningfulness in
Hmm.
life and significance in life. Let me give you the platform, I mean, just to share and see what your opinions and ideas are on that particular quote.
First, I'm proud to say that's my own code, right?
Yeah,
I made that up.
yes, yes.
So my one of the new things I've been doing, I think in the last 2 weeks now, or 2 3 weeks, is every day I post a photo that I've taken in the past, and I would match it with a I call it big small words, big thoughts. So they're like food for thought. So I would post one a day. And what guides me into what kind of quote and photo that I post every day is, how I'm feeling that morning. So my process really is, I wake up, I drink my coffee, I feed my dogs, I sit in front of my computer, and then I just okay, let my spirit guide kind of, how are you feeling right now?
what
You know,
what what is flowing,
what's
from
what's
source through
what's
you?
what's flowing through me, right?
That's right.
What's flowing through me, and so every day that's what I got, and then during that day, it's with what's happening in the world. So I try to, like, okay, what, in my own way, I'm not out there protesting. Being me being an immigrant, I can kind of relate to what's happening right now, and in some ways I've experienced certain things, that exactly what they're fighting for. I'm not one to go out there and protest, but so I ask myself, what can I do? What, in my own little way, how can I contribute to this fight and to
Sure.
this movement? So I was thinking, going through my photos. So I have a library. I go through, and I saw this photo. I took this one in Israel, in Jerusalem last February when I was there. And like, it's one of those things. Like, when I took that, I didn't really know what the purpose was for it. I just know I love it. It's a beautiful photo. And then I looked, oh, there are colors, and then I started thinking, God made all these beautiful colors, and then because based on what I was feeling that day,
Yeah.
and so I just, so He did the same thing for our skin, and people loved it, and I don't know how else to explain it. I think it's very explanatory, but
I think so.
every,
I think that is a great. I mean, it's a great. First of all, it's a great visual statement. But with those words, I mean, it's just it's really great. I mean, to be able, I mean, to and this is what we talked earlier on. that when you look at a photo, it brings all kinds of emotions, and that's the beauty of it. Because if you look at a photo and you stay neutral and the photo doesn't do anything for you, then I don't know. I mean, there's a problem with the photo.
Yeah, yeah. Because it really does go beyond the photo. For those who are watching this thing, they don't know what photo we're talking about. But it's basically, the photo is. I was in Old Town Jerusalem. It's in one of these stores, so they were selling all these gemstones. They made them out of rings, so just different, beautiful. They're blue, opal, and
Oh,
some pink, red, and they're all just, they placed in like this one bowl, right? I don't know, maybe 500 rings in there,
yeah.
and it was surrounded by rocks and just like I think it was like a copper bowl, and I just took it. It's like very very top view photo of the rings, and
It's
it's just a mixture of beautiful colors.
Yes, it's and for me, it really resonated because I love colors, and I love vibrant colors, and those, they just stood out, and they were great, absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Um, Now, there's another, and I'm sure that this is also one of your quotes, but
Uh-huh.
correct me if it's not. And
Okay.
I loved it with the theme. It says, "We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us."
Mhm.
Let me share that again, because I loved it. I mean, I said, "We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us." And now, is that one of your quotes as well?
No, I heard that somewhere, but I don't know who actually said it, But
Okay.
when I heard it, I heard this a long time ago, and I'm like, that's exactly what I do, when I heard it. So it's stuck in my head. I mean, how else? It's like probably the most accurate way to explain to people why I travel. People ask me sometimes, why you travel so much? My mom asked me, Christian, why you travel so much? And then some people, I have friends who like they work so much and they travel because I want to escape my life. When I read this, I'm like, well, you're not really escaping life when you travel. You're actually so that life will not escape you. It's
That
all about perspective, right?
that's
And
that's exa-
yeah, when I read it, I just like, oh god, I gotta, there's one thing that fits me, it's this one, so I use it all the time. Whoever, I don't know who started it, but whoever started it, thank you.
that's amazing. So, listen, before I tell you, I mean, it's been great, I mean, to spend these moments, I mean, with you, and for me to really introduce you. I know that maybe you were already well known by more than half of the world, but I just wanted, perhaps, I mean, you to be known, even by the other
The
but
other half.
yeah, by the other half. But I really, I think, I truly believe that, when it comes to, and because you have been part of leadership conferences and leadership events, you have taken. I think that you can truly be a leader, even, I mean, when you're doing things, I mean, in photography, in anything, I mean, you just you exude that leadership, and even
Thank you.
self leadership, because I think that for doing what you are doing, and from starting where you started, you had to be not just a leader, but a self-leader. I mean, you had to have self-discipline and leadership of your own life in order to get to where you are today. So before we wrap this up, and I always ask these two questions, I mean, to every guest that I had, because it's amazing. I mean, Jim Rohn said that we are the average of the 5 people that we spend most of our time with. And if I spend time with influencers and great people, they elevate me to a higher level, and that's what's important. I mean, it's just that desire to get on that pathway to become your very best self. So the first question that I want to ask you is this. I mean, what is for you, for Christian Del Rosario, what is your definition of success? What is success for you?
For me, it's a loaded question, right? But I want to try to simplify it for
Sure.
myself. Um, if I close my eyes at night, every night, and I ask myself, are you happy who you are now? And if you can honestly, wholeheartedly tell yourself, yes, I am. And you hear this all the time, but is this the best version before I go to sleep? Is this the best version of me so far? Then I feel you can say honestly, yes, I am. This is my best version. Then you are successful, you know. And I think success is made up of many little victories and some failures, and it's part of it. Um, and and if every day you can tell yourself, today I'm going to go to sleep, and today I serve one purpose in my life. One thing I've learned recently is that people, like even I myself, I used to stress myself, what's my purpose in life? What's my purpose in life? I mean, one thing I've learned from Dr. Paul Sheely is, you don't just have one purpose. You can have multiple purposes in your life. Why am I stressing about trying to figure out what my main purpose is, when in fact I'm made up of many? I'm here because I have so many smaller purposes. And if I'm
Yeah.
able to fill that, one of them each day,
Mm.
and tell myself, yes, you did it, and yes, this is you're happy of who you are, and you can go to sleep smiling, saying, yeah, this is the best version so far. And when I wake up, it's going to be even a better version. And you can happily tell yourself that honestly, without any filters, without then I think that for me that's success. And it's not money. It really is not money. So many people are so happy. I think money is very important, because the more money you have, the more you can help people. The more you can. But it's not all that. We hear this all the time. It's cliche, but really, for me, it really isn't. I'm happy just knowing that, like, especially this last 3 months, not much happens during my day anymore, like before, because I'm home, right? But did I make my dogs happy, who I love, with my life? Yeah, were during our walks, did I make them happy? Were they like so tired that they could not after the walk? Yeah, then maybe that's my purpose for the day, right? Then I'm happy. So
and
that
and
for me is
yes, and what a great answer. And we go back to what we already said, that we can find happiness, and we can find success, and we can find greatness and even significance in the simple things of life.
yes.
It doesn't have to. Why is it, Christian, that some people make it life such a complicated thing when the best part of life is in the simple things that we can enjoy day in and day out? And the second question that I wanted to ask you is, what does it mean for you to live a limitless life?
It's kind of connected to what I already said.
Hmm.
I'm at this point now in my life where everything that I do from this point forward is to find more purpose. So being limitless for me is always finding a new purpose. You
Okay.
know, you might feel this little purpose, and then as you grow, you find a new one, and you find a new one, and you just don't know what life will bring to you, right? And you know, whatever life brings to you, you'll find a purpose in it, um, whether for yourself or for somebody else.
That's
Hopefully, for both. It's very important. But
that's exactly right.
for me, that's what limitless life is. It's like you just keep on going, and if you can get, you know, and to always feel like you're growing, right? There's like one thing I learned growing up from my previous career is Ray. It was, I think it was Ray Kroc who said this. Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's.
Yes. Uh-huh.
He said that when you're green, you're growing. When you start to feel you're ripe, you start to rot, right? So I never want to feel ripe ever. I always feel like I'm always green and I'm always growing. I'm always youthful and I'm always learning something new, because that for me is what limitless life is, because you just keep on discovering new things. What else could be more exciting? Life would be so boring if you already knew everything and you've experienced everything. So that's, for me, that's what limitless is.
You know, that reminds me of a quote by Eric Hoffer that says, "In times of change, it's the learners who will inherit the future, while the learned are beautifully equipped to live in a world that no longer exists."
Exactly.
And I think that I am so happy that you and me and many people who we know are part of the learners
Hmm.
category and group, because we are always seeking for more and seeking for new adventures and new experiences, and have the mind of little children who ask questions and want to keep exploring, and and wants to keep messing up, because in the messing up there's going to be the next step of our development. And
Hmm.
so there's no point of becoming a learned or a professor. I mean, stay as a perpetual student, keep learning new things all the time. And my dear friend, I mean, it's you cannot imagine, I mean, how happy I am to have spent this few moments with you, learning from you, getting to know you more. I mean, getting to know your passions, your the things that you have devoted, I mean, the last 12 years, and will devote many, 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 many more years
I
doing.
haven't even started yet. We
I mean,
haven't even scratched the surface.
hey, I think that we love the statement that says, "Listen, we are here, but the best is yet
Yeah.
to come." The best is yet to come. We are just scraping the surface. So
Mm.
listen, Christian, you've been very, very nice with your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And my friend, just keep doing what you're doing, and keep making things even better. And for all of you, I mean, who have watched us live, or those who will catch this replay, and I strongly encourage, I mean, to get the replay, because there's always great insights and great content with my guests, and especially, I mean, today with Christian. So before I leave you, I want to remind you, as I always do, to live every moment. Hey, listen, live every moment. Don't let a single moment go by. Just live it fully. Be resilient, and also be kind, be passionate, be intentional, and be well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christian. Take care. Have a
Thank
great rest
you.
of the day, you all. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.